Hello, my name is Matthew Marvin. I also go by the Poker Gypsy. I'm here with Jon Orlando, international superstar. We're going to get into a lot of stuff today.
I'm excited.
Jon, I've got two questions for you I've been really wanting to ask you.
Okay.
One,
I'm nervous.
you used to throw parties in
did.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Do you have any wild cocaine and hooker stories?
Oh boy, Coke! Wow, you just came out swinging right out of the gates. Well, I did throw 7 parties at the Playboy Mansion.
Nice.
And there has definitely been times when girls were for hire. Not the playmates actually, but just other girls somehow make their way into those kind of events. I actually know a guy that used to also throw charity events at the mansion. I won't say his name. And so he would make a lot of money for charities by having a silent and a live auction. So he would have sports memorabilia that they would auction off, and like exotic vacations and really, just some really cool stuff, you know. And so all these guys had like a lot of money. They were kind of nerdy, whatever. The guys that were there with the money to buy the stuff. Yeah. And so what he would do is he always wanted the party to be a success. So he would actually hire hookers to come. So he would pay them like whatever the flat rate was just for them to show up. And then he would also pay them basically like, you're going to take a guy home with you. Right. I don't care what guy you take home with you, but he would have like 30 hookers there. And so 30 guys would get lucky. And so his thought process was, look, I'm going to have like 250 guys at my party. And basically 10% of them are going to be telling stories on how they took a hot chick home with them from the Playboy Mansion. And then that's going to make for the next event, when they tell their friends, they're going to buy tickets. So like he would charge like $2,000 a guy to come to the Playboy Mansion. Okay. Because it's like a bucket list thing, right. You know? So it's like 100%. It's $2,000. It's open bar. It's amazing food. It's all catered. It's very classy over there. You know, they would like tent the backyard. You're at the Playboy Mansion, the grotto. And it's really cool, you know? So he would sell individuals $2,000 tickets for the guys. Girls could come for free. Okay. And then you could buy like a cabana, like if you were a party of like 10 or 15 guys, you buy a cabana for like 25, 50 grand. It just kind of depended, right? Have like your own Playboy bunny as your cocktail server, whatever. It was a really cool thing, you know?
Already sold.
Right? Yeah. So he would just reinvest. So basically like if he got $2 grand a guy, he'd pay the girls, you know, like, look, I'll give you $1,000 to show up, and then another $1,000 to take a guy home with you. Yeah. You know, I don't know how he verified that happened or whatever. Maybe he paid it after the fact or whatever. I'm not sure what the mechanics of it. But all he was doing was just taking his own profit, you know, $2K per guy, and reinvesting it back into 30 girls, let's say. Yeah. You know, and he's got 30 lucky guys, and then they tell all their friends, dude, you got to go to this charity event next time they have it next year, you know, or I think he would do it twice a year. So he's like, in the fall, you got to go. Like, it's crazy. I hooked up with this chick, and they never even knew. These guys never even knew that
it was all planned.
They weren't pickup artists. Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious. That would boost my self-esteem.
Right? Yeah. Kind of a smart idea, though.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, I went to a lot of Hollywood parties. I wasn't really a crazy partier. Right. Ever. I had one year where I kind of got a little crazy with ecstasy and Molly, you know. But I was never life. I was never a cocaine. Right. I wasn't even a weed guy, you know, nothing. But definitely seen my share of debauchery in Hollywood.
100%.
Yeah. I went to an Oscar party once. I went to the Vanity Fair party. I crashed it, which was really hard to do. It was 4 of us. Gio, who you know from Fitness Junkeez, and 2 girls, and this other friend of ours. His name was Shagun. He's actually kind of famous now. He's an African guy, but he's on like Extra or one of those shows. He's on a show. He's been like an entertainment reporter now for a while. This happened back in like 2001. Yeah, and we were able to. So we pulled. I went and paid for a limo to basically just drive us into where the party was in like Beverly Hills. Yeah. Because there were cops and stopping traffic, but they let limos go through because they just assume it's a famous person in a limo. Right. So my plan was like, we'll get out of the limo. Now we're at the party, and we'll just talk our way in somehow. Yeah. And I got out of the limo and I realized real quick that plan wasn't going to work. And but we saw Michael Richards from Seinfeld, Kramer.
Yeah.
Before he went nuts on doing stand-up with the N-word. I don't know if you know that whole story, right? Okay, so this is long before that happened. So I see him and I'm like, guys, stay real close to me. So I cruise up to him like I know him. I've never met him. And I go, hey, Michael, it's Jon Orlando, Tony's son. Remember I met you a couple years ago? No one ever wants to be the asshole if you say you met them and they're famous. Right. They meet so many people, they're not going to remember.
Right.
So he's like, oh, it's good to see you again. So I just thought we'll just ride his coattails. We'll just walk in with him. So he gets there. They put a bracelet on him. And I'm like, hi, we're with him. And like, they shut it down. So I'm like, oh, my God, this sucks. So then we go around to like a side door. And I'm trying to bribe the security guy. And he's like, no. And then Shagun comes up and he starts speaking, I don't know what language.
Different language.
Right. You know, and he connects with this dude and he's like, all right, give me $400. And I give him $400 and bracelet. And
hook up.
And we crashed the Vanity Fair party. And then from there, we went to a Maxim after party.
Yeah.
At the Maxim after party, I've never seen that many drugs ever in my life. Like literally just people out in the open, not even a lot of people
caring.
like they go to the bathroom and you see like groups of people go to the bathroom or two guys even go to the bathroom. They're doing coke, whatever.
Nobody cares.
This was just right out in the open. Nobody cared. Yeah. There's my stories for you.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. So this next question is going to kind of throw you for a little loop. So you sleep like absolute shit.
Yeah.
What keeps you up at night?
I don't know. It's funny you say that. It's actually gotten better. But it seems like 4 hours and I'm just up.
Yeah.
Like
is it
last
a
night.
motivation thing?
No,
is it just an insomnia thing? Can't go to sleep? The schedule's off?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like last night, well, every night I fall asleep on the couch. I fight it. I refuse to go to bed at like 10.
Yeah.
And I end up falling asleep on the couch next to Vanessa. And then she wakes me up at like midnight. And she's like, come on, let's go upstairs. It's every fucking night.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 2 hours, right? And so then we'll go to bed at midnight. And then usually at like 4:30 to 5, somewhere in there, or between 4:30 and 5:30, I'm up.
Yeah.
But like literally last night, same thing. We went to bed at maybe it was like 11:30. I woke up and I would have bet my life it was 5 or 6 a.m.
Yeah.
2:35.
Yeah.
Because I actually sent you a message around 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You were on Instagram or Facebook or whatever.
I sleep like shit as well. Yeah.
But here's the thing. When I wake up, I feel great.
Yeah.
At 2:30. Like I wasn't. It's not like oh man, I'm tossing and turning. I can't sleep.
But do you go back and crash maybe 3 hours later?
I did this morning.
That's kind of my routine.
I did it 5. Yeah, I went back to bed at like 5:30.
Yeah.
Until 8:15.
Yeah.
Her alarm goes off because she goes to work.
Yeah.
And then I've been up since 8:15.
Yeah.
Yeah. But feel fine. Like I don't feel tired. Like believe me, if I felt tired, I'd stay in bed.
Right.
I'm just ready to go.
Right.
Yeah. It's weird.
Crazy, huh?
I don't know. I think as you get older, you just feel like
you gain more motivation somewhere, if that makes sense.
I think it's motivation. I also think like subconsciously, it's like, man, I'm gonna be 53. Like,
yeah, I got shit to do.
Well, yeah, I just feel like I'm on the back 9 of this golf course.
Yeah,
and I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're gonna talk about today hits home for me. So I'm gonna verbally touch you in your no-no zone. And if I can't do that, I'm not doing my job correctly.
Well, you seem to do that on. We go back and forth. We argue on Instagram and the DMs about every social issue
100%.
out there. We agree on some things.
Yeah. But it's just different viewpoints, I'd say.
Yeah.
We usually come together.
We want the same goal.
Right. We usually come together and there's something to be learned, or there's a positive end goal to our conversations. Even if we don't start them out at the same end,
right?
We usually end learning something about the conversation.
But we're always civil.
We're always civil, 100%.
Yeah.
But
you're the one friend I have that I could actually go down that road with, and it doesn't turn into fuck you tennis. I have other friends where it's just like, go fuck yourself. you know?
Right, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I do call you crazy sometimes, but it's like out of love. I'm not. I don't literally mean you're crazy.
No, 100%. Yeah. Austin, how long have you known Jon now?
I have known Jon for a little over a year now.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. On a scale from 1 to 10, how stubborn is Jon?
I feel like it depends on the topic. I feel like some topics like with UFC fighters, with some of them, I get tell him something. He's like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong.
I'll defend Conor McGregor till the death.
Correct. And like, I love Conor, but there are some things where I'm like, he's not like, I don't think he has it anymore.
100%.
Bite your tongue. Blasphemy.
I would say on like a rounded out level, I'd say like a 5 out of 10 stubbornness.
He would give me a different score.
I would give him I'd probably give him like a 12, but we argue about a lot of controversy topics. But you know what? That tells me that Jon is somebody who I can go to war with and win. That's all that tells me. So 100%.
All right. I like it.
All right. So this story comes from Braxton, Mississippi.
Okay.
Now, the first show I was on, I told you that this is where my mail gets forwarded to, right? My mom handles my mail while I'm on the road.
Yeah.
This is where she lives. So when they pass, I'm going to inherit land there.
Okay.
And my child is half black.
Okay.
So, all right.
Damn, he had to take a deep breath just now. I'm nervous.
So in this case, 6 racist cops calling themselves the Goon Squad torture 2 black men. What happened was a neighbor called them and said there were 2 black men staying with this white lady. They go over there, and this is not the first time it happens. I'll review this later.
Okay.
There was a security camera by the front door, so they go in through the carport, right? Okay. They pretty much handcuff the gentleman. And
right off the gates.
And they tase them while they're handcuffed.
Okay. How old are these guys?
I couldn't tell
you.
Okay.
Men.
Couldn't
They're
tell you.
grown men.
There's way worse details to this story.
Oh, shit.
Right?
Okay.
All right. So on top of this, what they do, one incident, they strap a dildo to a BB gun.
Oh, my God.
And they stick it in both of the men's mouths.
Come on.
And then they slap it. They slap them with the dildo on the BB gun. No shit. So they also pour, I think it was alcohol and Vaseline or something like that. They made them take a shower. And when they got out the shower wet, they tased them 17 times while wet.
Holy shit.
And this is just the beginning. They also make one of the guys.
These are cops.
These are cops, police officers with badges. It gets worse. They take one of the guys outside. They put him on his knees and they play Russian roulette in his mouth. The first bullet does not go off. The second bullet breaks his jaw.
Come on.
They call the ambulance. The ambulance picks him up, and they book him for possession of narcotics when it was supposed to be attempted murder.
They booked the cop?
No.
Oh, they booked the victim?
They booked the victim.
Okay.
100%. Sorry, I gather my thoughts here.
Did these guys, the 2 guys, did they have like was this cops taking justice into their own hands? Like were these kids like, or these guys ever accused of rape or something, and they thought like, oh, I've had enough, we're gonna take care of this on our own way, or this was just a random fuck these 2 guys?
It was probably just a random fuck you 2 guys, but Mississippi is a little bit different. It's
Mississippi's clearly like the most racist of states.
One of the
racist, right?
Well, one thing is it happens all across the country, because if you look up what a sundown town is, that basically means black people are not supposed to be outside past the time it gets dark. And there's still cities like this all over the country, still 2023.
Really?
100%. Georgia is one of them.
Where it's like a written curfew, or it's
there's
just
signs,
like it's just
there's signs that said this is a sundown town. And then you're automatically just supposed to know what that means.
But it applies to all people or just black people?
Basically just black people. Basically non-white people is what I would say.
Or they mean it for all, but they only fuck with
I'm pretty
the black
sure
people.
you don't want to be outside and be Mexican, dark-skinned Mexican at the same time. Like it, yeah. So some words that were used before the cops entered the house was work easy and no bad mugshots. So they knew what they were doing. And this isn't the first time. Back in 2021, there were 5 people who died that were in custody of this same police department. So my question with this is, if people on the streets can get RICO cases, why can't people in the department who knew about this? Because this had been going on for years. The Mississippi state courts refused to press charges due to lack of evidence the first time.
Press charges on the cops.
Correct. So if they would have pressed charges in 2001, this would have never happened today.
When did this happen?
I want to say 4 months ago. 5.
Oh, wow. It's that recent.
It was recent. It was recent.
And so the cops didn't get suspended? Nothing.
Well, they're in jail now.
The cops are?
Right. And
okay. Pending a trial?
they tried to plant weapons and drugs on them, but they ended up pleading guilty to all this.
Oh, they did?
They pled guilty. Yep, 100%.
Did they say why they did it?
I mean, they're racist. They don't like black people. They'll tell them go back to their side of the town. And this is probably maybe 45 minutes away from Jackson, Mississippi.
Wow. And this is where you're from?
This is where my family members currently live.
Okay.
Like I go to visit this once every 3 months.
This exact town?
This exact town, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. See, we agree on that. That's crazy. You didn't think I was going to disagree with any of this?
No,
okay.
Of course not.
Just checking.
But it was the Mississippi grand jury that declined in 2021 to press charges against these people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. I mean, obviously that happens, I'm sure, in all cities. You know, there's bad cops everywhere. But
that's the problem.
Where we differ is you, like if I said to you, are there more good cops than bad cops? What is your answer?
It depends on where I'm at. It depends on what location I'm at. Because look, I just visit my niece and nephews here, right? My nephews.
Tell everyone that doesn't know, that's listening to the film, what do you do for a living?
I drive semi-trucks for a living.
So you travel all over the country?
Yes. I travel and play poker, and I explore places that's not on Google Maps or Poker Atlas. You're not going to find these places. And look, I got an alien tattooed on the side of my head, and it's for a purpose because I'm not in one society. Like, I don't know what it's like to interact within a city. I drive by and I see it, and I see every city. So I see it as a system. I'll go to Vegas. Next, I leave, I'll go to Phoenix, and I see Phoenix and Vegas being run as systems from an outside perspective, if that makes sense. And then if you want to bring it to another perspective, you got the whole state, and then you got 48 of those states, and then laws change.
Right.
So when we get on shows and we talk to like David Kohlmeyer, and he's like, okay, just do an internal affairs investigation. Well, in small places like Statesboro, Georgia, the lieutenant is the internal investigator. You see what I'm saying? So it's
almost like a conflict of interest.
It doesn't work. And that's the thing. It's different out there. It's very different in some places. Also, we talked about the Supreme Courts, right? Well, one thing people need to know is there's 7 districts of the Supreme Court. It's not just one Supreme Court agreeing on everything.
Right.
So these 7 districts don't always agree on stuff. So that's a bigger part of the issue. It's like, look, if y'all can't come together and run or at least agree on something as a judicial system, how are you going to run civilization? You know, like, how are you going to run a population?
Right.
How are you going to stabilize a population? It doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah. But as a whole, more good cops or more bad cops? Just as a whole. I think there's 700,000 cops. Are there more good cops?
From my perspective, in the places I hang out, more bad cops. From the places you hang out, more good cops. If that makes sense. You see, it depends on your viewpoint.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to the same places I'm going to. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't look at me the same way.
Agreed. Okay.
So it's a different perspective.
But still, if you just take the whole, I want to say it's 700. I think there's 700,000 cops in this country.
Oh, we're talking about Mississippi because the whole department knew about this for years now and did nothing about it.
Right. And that's common everywhere. That's really the problem, is that, I guess that's the argument, right? Is that, are they good cops if they won't rat each other out?
That's the thing.
That's the question.
It's guilty by association,
right?
Basically, and that's why when I see a news article that says, police officer dies in line of duty, I really don't feel no type of way about it, because somewhere down the line there was probably a bad officer that he knew about that caused his death. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah, I know. Yeah, I get it. I know that's where it's tricky, because and then sometimes it's a seniority thing, right? So the new cop is following the senior cop's lead.
That's who's teaching him how to do.
He doesn't know, he's in a weird, it's like Training Day, right?
And then we
like
talked about quotas and, so it's a lot that goes into these things.
Yeah.
All right. So just this year, right, the state of Mississippi passed a bill that would form a court system of unelected judges and prosecutors in Jackson, Mississippi.
Say that again.
Okay.
Do it again.
The state of Mississippi
Yep.
passed a bill. They have to pass a bill, and then it gets voted into law, right?
Right.
They passed a bill that would form a court system of unelected judges and prosecutors in Jackson, in basically the state of Mississippi.
Meaning-
So you lose your right to vote on who goes into office, right? And now let's think about this. The cabinet members that support the president. When somebody gets elected president, they get a team called the cabinet members.
Yep.
We don't vote on them.
Right.
The people in office already put them in those
Right.
positions. So they're kind of doing that, but in a spot where the citizens are supposed to be able to vote. Basically, the population is 80%
Right.
black, and they're taking away the black vote, even though the 14th Amendment says that all laws should apply to all races equally. We're going to go further, though.
Okay.
Sorry.
I like the exhale.
All right. In a
That's
bigger
going deep.
picture,
Yeah.
46% of Mississippi's rural hospitals are at risk of closing. So they have no judicial system. They have no hospital system. It's a tough place to be.
But why they're closing? Just because there's not enough patients?
Not
maybe?
enough funds. It's being ran wrong. According to a study that was done on July 2023, 34 of the state's 73 rural hospitals are at risk. Basically, there was a Supreme Court that looked at the laws, right, of the case of these officials being put into position instead of voted in position. They denied looking at the case. Don't want to look, and this is like a month, 2 months ago. So the government, Supreme Courts, don't want to look into this case. So imagine being somebody in that position. The
Right.
cops don't like you. The people don't look, let's be honest, the white people don't like you. They're after you. You got no financial education. Your hospitals are being shut down. Who do you see? The government doesn't even pay attention to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big issue. And then you post a lot of videos about California. You keep up what's going on in California, right?
Yep.
So one thing that a lot of people don't understand is this is a byproduct of something the government did years ago. The government has put drugs and cocaine, or let's say drugs and guns,
Right.
into black communities for years. One hot spot they dropped it in, Los Angeles. They would drop them at the train tracks, and people from the hoods and the ghettos would go pick up guns and eventually shoot each other or sell them.
But I don't know if you can prove that.
It's proved, it's documented.
Where? How? Who?
I can send you testimonials of people testifying. But if you want to bring that up, I mean, but we know that the CIA has been involved in major drug deals all through our life. All right. CIA drug dealings, documented, right? 1937, France. Illegal heroin labs run by a gang. I can't even pronounce the gang. It's French. Trafficking to the United States. They're trafficking drugs. They were protected by the CIA after World War II. Documented. 1949, Korean War. Documented. 1961 to 1975, they put heroin Southeast Asia, and there was running opium in Laos. Documented. 1989, CIA-backed organization flooded Los Angeles with crack. 2013, there was a murder of a DEA agent, and that was due to a Mexico operation. He knew too much information on an operation in Mexico. Boom, whacked.
Can I ask real quick?
Go
Was that
for it.
Kiki Carmona?
I did not write down the name. It's possibly it could have
Because
been.
I grew up knowing his son.
Really?
Wait,
Kiki, so you know who Kiki Carmona is?
No.
So Kiki Carmona was a DEA agent who was thrown out of a plane in Mexico in the 80s.
Right.
He has two sons. One of them I went to Charger games with. Like my aunts were friends with him. Now he
Really?
works for Homeland Security.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that till I was probably about 15, 16 years old that was his dad. But yeah, so he didn't know his dad past the age of 2.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I mean, when you say documented, I'm taking your word for it, but
Right.
like
You
what?
could- Wikipedia.
like-
Wikipedia.
okay.
I can send you Wikipedia links to all this, and this is documented. I think what was the movie? It was like American something about the guy flying the plane full of drugs for the CIA.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Yeah.
So you know-
I'm blank on the name of it.
It's American something. I forget. Austin, you know the name of that
I
movie?
don't, but I know
can't
what
even
you're
think of
talking
who
about.
was
I'll
in
look it up.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so sure. Fucked up shit goes on. What's
Yeah.
your point, caller?
It's called American Made,
American Made.
and
Yeah,
it had Tom Cruise.
Yeah, good movie.
The point is, the country's fucked up. It's not a secret.
Okay.
And it's due to bad leadership. I mean, look, it's not America has had a history of racism throughout its whole history. Can we agree on that?
I agree with that, but I don't think it's as bad as the media portrays it out to be most of the time.
Okay.
I don't think it's...
Let's get into this conversation.
Go for it.
All right. Do you understand the divide between Africans and black people? Have you ever thought about why Africans don't like black people?
No.
Okay. So there was an African war, right? Africa basically split into 2 sides.
Yep.
There was a war. The losing side became slaves. So those slaves were then sold. So think about it. You have basically black people in America
Yep.
who was sold. Now, am I saying that all of them were sold? No, I'm not, because maybe some of them were taken and raped and stolen. Let's put it that way.
Right.
But the point is, think about it from an African perspective. If you come over to the United States and you see this guy you sold to the white man complain about, oh, you guys stole me. Like, no, bro, you lost the war. You were a slave. You got stolen. So that's one perspective. So it's like your culture is against you. The government's against you. You got white people trying to kill you. You have no hospitals. You don't have a voice. You have nobody to turn to. So what are you going to do? You're going to live life. You're going to survive the only way you know how. That's it. And that's some of the situations they're in. And that's basically why the gang violence in LA is so horrid. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, but that's what I'm saying. This is all a government plan. It's not something that can't be prevented or could not be prevented.
There's always been bad people of all ethnicities, all colors.
Okay. So
There's always going to be bad.
Let me
There's
ask you
always going to
something.
be crime.
if the government wanted to find you right now, could they find you?
Of course.
Okay, then so why can't they find the kids being trafficked illegally?
Huh. Well, I mean, that's kind of a, I mean, when you say when,
If the smartest people are working for the government right now,
Right.
smarter than me and in the CIA,
right.
why can't they find these kids? Black web, anywhere. If they can track me, I can go in the middle of the woods, middle of nowhere. They'll come find me. But can't find these kids getting abducted.
Well, because they know you, they don't know who's abducting the kids. So that's a random, that's one thing to be able to find you. Yes, they could find Jon Orlando. Yes, they could find Matthew Marvin. Can they find the guy that is the pedophile that they don't even realize is the pedophile? I mean, how do they do that?
They could find everything else.
Yeah, but that's not fair. I mean,
so
there's,
you don't think they're capable?
well, there's fucking 7 billion people, whatever there is. How are they? It's like a needle in a haystack.
Okay.
They need clues. They need leads. They need a lot of things.
But do you understand that that's a $33 billion per year industry? And just to put that into scope, all
Yep.
the airlines combined, $22 billion. So I mean, look, they've been putting drugs and guns in the country for profit for years. So why would we think that they're not attached to this?
I don't know. I mean, it's like two separate conversations. I mean, so now you're saying that all of the trafficking is from the government? I mean,
I'm
that's kind
saying
of a
there's no
bold,
way they
crazy
can't know
claim.
about it.
Well, they
how
know
can
it
they not
exists.
know
Of
about
course they know it exists. But it's hard to stop. That's like saying, okay, well then why can't we just stop car theft? Never mind trafficking. Why can't we just stop car theft?
I'll put it to you this way. One thing
We can't even stop 20 people from going into Nordstrom and clearing the whole store out.
No, we can, but all those products are covered by insurance, so they get paid anyway. The same thing for the riots when COVID-19
Yeah, but the
hit.
stores don't want that.
Why not?
What do you mean?
They get paid.
It doesn't matter.
Why did they have
disrupts
bricks?
business?
Why did they have bricks outside the building so people could smash windows for the riots?
Again, I don't know if that's true.
Okay.
That's like that depends on what outlet you're on getting your news. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's really true.
Yeah.
I know that's circulated. You look at me like I'm crazy.
No. But because this is my problem, right? This is one thing I definitely want to fix. I would like to. Now, this is coming from somebody who grew up in a drug-infested household, right? What I would like to do is I would like to take the kids who need help and put them in proper homes. And I would like to get the parents rehabilitation. The problem is the kids have nowhere to go. In certain spots, foster homes are overcrowded, right? And then the government puts all kind of red tape in the way. It's not free. You got to pay like $5,000 and do all paperwork. It's a long process. Now, the problem is rehabilitation, especially in Vegas, rehabilitation is a big problem, right? The problem is if you take somebody off the streets and put them in jail for rehabilitation, there's more drugs in the damn prisons than there is on the streets.
Right.
And then you combine all that with the fact that the government's pushing drugs in the United States.
Okay, but wait, go back. So you grew up in a drug-infested home.
100%.
Were you ever a drug addict?
No.
Why not?
Because I've seen everybody around me being drug addicts.
So it's a choice. So because in our arguments before, you have blamed their circumstance of growing up as why they do what they do, why inner city kids turn to crime, drugs, etc. You blame it's their situation that they're brought up in. Yet you were brought up in that situation and you didn't go down that road.
Right.
So you've proved your own theory wrong with the way you live.
No, because you don't know what it took to get out of that situation. Everybody can't do that. There's no way. There's no way. You come and you go to the neighborhoods and look. Not everybody is smart as me.
Okay.
And I'm not saying this to brag.
I get it.
Because everybody don't have it, John. Everybody don't have the mental capability.
I know, but that's in everything, right? You can play that game all the way from Jeff Bezos to me.
Right.
Right? We're both white. He's doing way better than I'm doing.
But if you were born with Trump's resources, you'd be doing way better too.
Not necessarily.
Shit.
Well, how's Hunter Biden doing?
Okay.
He grew up with some resources. There's plenty. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In any situation, there's going to be people that excel and thrive, and people that fuck up and stumble.
Right.
Any race, that's from Beverly Hills to the inner city in Chicago. You're at risk. Just because you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth doesn't mean you will have the gold at the end.
Right.
Right? I grew up in a fucking great neighborhood. I grew up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I have friends that are way more successful than me if you're just going to judge off of earnings.
Right.
Money, right? Just going to judge off of money. And I have friends that are dumber than me that have more money, that grew up in a good neighborhood. I have friends that are smarter than me. We went to the same school.
Yeah.
They got better grades. They did better. So it's like there's always going to be. It's like if we all start at the same line and it's a race, certain people are going to win and be out front, and some people are just going to be left behind. And it's like that in life. It's like that with anything.
Right.
You can't just blame where you grew up. Now, does that affect it? Sure. I'm not delusional. Like, of course, I would say from a starting point, if you took me, who grew up in Brentwood, California, right near Beverly Hills, famous father, of course, I have several advantages over a kid that was born in the inner city of any city you want to call, right? But that doesn't mean it's a guarantee I'm going to win that race against that kid, right?
Right.
Jay-Z beat me. 50 Cent beat me. There's a list of athletes, musicians, that passed me.
Right.
It's just the way it is. That's just life.
You're right. I agree with you on that. And it's definitely a complex I face because it's like coming from that environment, it's hard to leave somebody there. But I also understand that everybody's not going to make it out. It's like just trying to educate idiots. To be honest. And it's like, I understand everybody's not going to make it, but my moral compass points me to try.
Which is great. But
I end up wasting a lot of damn time.
Yeah.
To be honest with
But I mean, it's like with police brutality, like that's where I think we always disagree.
Yeah.
You know, you've sent me so many videos where you're like, look at this is disgusting. And I'm like, he didn't follow instructions and he got shot.
Right. But then when police don't follow instructions, everybody covers for them until it goes to like a heinous crime. And then, you know, media gets a hold of it.
Right. So, okay. So to that, I would just say, it's just like I said a few minutes ago. There's always going to be good and bad. And even within a police force, there's going to be good and bad.
But if the police...
But there's more good than bad.
If the government doesn't follow its own rules, why should the citizens?
Give me an example.
Transporting drugs into the United States. Because if I did that, I'd be under the jail.
Right. So, yeah, I hear you. That's crazy if we do that.
Right.
I don't know for a fact if we do that. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, has that been proven?
Yes.
It has?
Wikipedia is documented.
Well, that doesn't mean just because it's on Wikipedia.
Have you not heard the testimony of the real Rick Ross? What about White Boy Rick? Have you never?
Oh, I saw that documentary. Honestly, here's the problem with being almost 53. I don't remember any of it other than loving that documentary.
It's going to help you in poker. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I literally don't remember any of it. Yeah, I do remember that documentary. Look, you know, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I mean, I just think that there's good and there's evil, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
In every neighborhood, in every company, in every police force, in every military. I mean, you know, I'm sure there's good and there's bad, you know, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
So how do we create a better life for ourselves with this system?
I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. I really don't. That's the shitty part. Yeah. Like, you know, like I've always said, like with gun control, okay? Yeah. Like every time there's a school shooting, the internet explodes and half the people are sitting there saying, you know, we got to make it harder to buy guns. We got to take guns off the streets. Why do you need an AR-15? Why do you need automatic weapons, right? That's always the argument they make. It doesn't matter. You could make... We made murder illegal many years ago. We banned murder. Murder is illegal,
but
yet it still happens.
It's a country founded on murder. I mean, you can't take our guns away because look what happened to the Indians.
I agree. But my point is, you have to accept that there's always going to be evil. It's a shitty reality. But like, it's weird to me. The same people that say, if we just banned guns, there'd be, you know, and then they like to point to Canada or whatever. It's like, it's a different culture. It's a different society. It's not the same. It's not apples to apples.
Right.
It's just not.
And
our culture is different.
Some of our same argument.
Right. And you know, when it comes to, but like those same people would never say, they know we can't stop carjackings. They know we can't stop rape. They know we can't stop stabbing. Like, right. But they think, but with guns we can. Why? It doesn't make any sense. You can't stop people from doing bad things.
Well, you can with a gun. It takes one bullet.
But I'm saying they think laws
on a mass.
Right. They think, you know, if you make guns illegal, that doesn't mean there won't be any more shootings.
Right. That's
and
correct.
They'll point to Canada. They'll say, well, there's no shootings in Canada. It's a different society. It's a different culture. We're past that.
Right.
Right now, today, you could ban all the fucking guns you want. You can make it completely illegal in the United States, and the numbers are not going to change.
Yeah. We're still going to find a way.
They're still going to find a way.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. It's a good combo.
Yeah. I mean, you know, but like with the police brutality stuff, like you send me stuff and it's like, of course the guy got shot.
Yeah.
The cop said, put your hands where I could see him. Put your hands up.
But you don't see
don't
the
do this. Don't do
excessive
that.
force line?
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But again, I would go back to, there's 700, don't quote me on this number. I'm pretty sure I'm close, but there's like 700,000 cops in this country. If it was so bad,
yeah.
I mean, because if you look at the media, you know, or social media, you'd think, oh, there's black people getting gunned down on every corner by the cops. That's not the case. There's 700,000 fucking cops. Right. So the numbers would be insane. I think it's something like less than 150 people died as a whole at the hands of a cop by gun.
Right, but I think you're looking at it from a broad spectrum. What do we do in the areas where police, like Braxton, Mississippi, are killing people, and then the judicial system backs them up? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you there.
So can we not bring some good cops down there? Can we not spread this out a little bit? Can we not figure out a solution? Like if we're the most advanced race in the world, not race, but
it's a good point.
Species.
That's a fair point. You know, it's like maybe they need to get cops that, you know, then you can't make cops from Utah, let's say, move to Mississippi. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that there's no crooked cops in Utah, but you know, it's like maybe you're right. It's like there's a societal issue in Mississippi,
and
right?
many other places,
and many other places, and then so the pool of people that are becoming cops might be kind of in question. That's your point, right? It's like they're in question from the get-go.
How do we change a society of people that only want to act a certain way? Because tough conversations for me is I have a mixed son. My son's half black, but I have family members back home waving the Confederate flag, trying to tell us why it's not racist.
Family members,
100%. It's just a culture thing.
And how do they feel towards your son?
No, they love him because that's family. That's bloodline.
It's different to them.
It's different, 100%, because they can raise them, they can mold them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
doesn't it start then with the society? Forget the cops. Don't you think if society as a whole in Mississippi, it starts with the parents, right? If the parents could raise better kids.
But how are we going to change the society with 7 different districts of Supreme Court that don't agree?
Because it shouldn't even take court. Meaning, if you're raising good kids that abide by the law, you don't have to worry about 7 different fucked up court systems.
But the problem is the courts and everything. I mean, I got to have a passport just to cross an imaginary line to go to Canada. Ducks don't have to do it. Cows don't have to do it.
Wait, whoa. Hold on. Oh my God. Really? Wait a minute. So you think you should just be able to come and go?
100%.
Why?
If you have a child and then you and Vanessa get into an argument, the state steps in and represents that child.
Okay. So what did that have
The
to do with
point
the
is,
border?
the law and the judicial system and the government is so far in your business, it's not even crazy. So it has to start with the government in order to change the society. There's no way you can separate a society from the government at this point.
Fine, but wait, go back to you don't think you should need a passport. So you think if you want to go to Canada, you should just be able to go to a different country.
100%. I don't even like the fact that we're fighting, we're building a society for superpowers to fight each other. All they do is stroke their egos and have dick measuring contests with the militaries. That's it. I don't vote on war. That's one thing I learned to the military. I went to the military to fight for family back home and stuff that I believe in. I get to the military, I figure out that's not what this is about. This is about people with money who direct you to do what they want you to do.
I agree with that.
So
finally, we agree.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you look at the citizens on each continent, they don't even want war. It's the people that have power that want war, and we get pulled into the game. Right? What's the difference between slaves building the pyramids and us building the cities that we live in now? I don't see a difference.
You're killing me. You're killing me. What do you have, Austin? You got anything?
He did raise his hand. I forgot.
Well, I was just telling you 5 minutes left.
Oh.
But no.
Damn,
but,
that went by quick.
Yeah, it went by hella quick. No, I'm very in the middle on everything.
Should we need a passport to go to Canada? Yes or no?
I think so, yes.
Why would you need a passport?
So, because there are people, going back to John's point, there are people, whether or not you have good intentions, they will never have good intentions.
Right.
There are going to be people. Granted, so my girlfriend is Hispanic. Her mom and sister came here illegally years ago. They're citizens now. But I do understand from their point of view just how scary it is down there. So I'm kind of on the fence about that. Like, I think you should need a passport, but I think we should be open to helping people come here.
Which we are.
To an extent, yes.
As long as it's done properly.
As long as you don't show up in a group and we detain you and separate you from your children and release your children without releasing you. And, your 4-year-old's now back out fending for themselves.
Right.
Because you decided to come here for a better life. Like, come on.
Right.
You can't be doing that.
But a lot of people try to game the system too.
They try
to send kids over here knowing that
100%.
right.
100%.
So it goes back to the people.
Still 50-50.
It goes back to fucked
Okay.
up people doing fucked up things.
Right. And it's our responsibility as people to change the culture. However, when the culture's so fucked up that you're killing black people because they stay over at a white person's house, like,
Yeah, that's fucked up. We agree on that.
Okay, so what do we do?
I'm assuming.
So do we go and kill all of them and just replace the population? What?
Damn, this guy's going gangster.
like what's the solution? Like,
I don't know.
do we separate them out of that environment? Like, what's it?
Yeah, the part that sucks. I know I sound like a fucking downer. I don't know if any of it's fixable.
No,
I don't know, man.
it's rough.
Yeah. I'm excited you're going to be hosting this show.
Oh yeah. One other thing I'm gonna leave you with, right?
Tell me.
So I think that there was a more advanced civilization, and they left us clues, right?
Okay.
So I think the pyramids were built as an architectural structure to show us how to build things, the shape. Because let's take 9/11. It's gonna fit in good with this show. So when the plane hit the building in 9/11, the building crumbled, right?
Right.
If a plane hit that pyramid, wouldn't have happened. Because it's wide at the base.
You're opening up a whole other can of worms.
That's what I wanted to
Oh,
leave
this
you
was
with.
Justice Junkies, not conspiracy junkies.
Right.
Same thing.
Yeah. I feel like you need to have him on Bizarre Junkies at some point.
I don't know. I'm already a brand risk. I don't want to be more of a brand risk.
Oh yeah, you don't want to ruin that.
Thank you for having me on the first episode. This was good. I definitely want to come back. We definitely need to get coal
got a lot
iron, some
more.
round table
yeah.
discussions.
Hey, that's it. Come back for more.